Welcome everyone back to the Pommy and Oz show. Hope we're all really well. If you are new around here, make sure you hit that like and subscribe. We're really nearly at 6,000, so if we can tick that over in the next couple of days, that would be grouse. We're going to be a one-stop shop for trade and draft things in the off-season. So much coming forward, and we're here today with another daily recap. Obviously, we missed yesterday. If there is a live and stuff, I do have a live, so it's quite hard. So we'll get straight into it. So apologies for that. A lot to get through. And up first, we're going to talk about Tom Campbell, who is linked with the Melbourne Football Club, St Kilda player, unrestricted free agent. So he'll cost absolutely nothing. And definitely one of these players that you look at and he really does suit when we were talking about what they would look for, the type of player that Melbourne will be looking for. And they're linked with just about everyone at the minute who is over 150 centimetres. 32 years old, played the 58 AFL games, just the 2 games this season. More of a ruckman than anything else, a nice little depth option. His VFL form has been quite solid as well, it has to be said. Averaging around 28 hit-outs and kicking a goal a game. Some real good standouts. If you want to watch him against the Sydney Swans for the Sandy Zebras, he was really, really sensational there. Provides some real good depth. It's a pretty much of a free hit for a team of their ilk. So that should be a real fascinating one to watch for me. Should be an easy deal to do. No one's going to complain about it. And up next, Jackie Graham from Richmond. It's been talked about that West Coast are the favours for him, and he is another unrestricted free agent. And what's great about Jack Graham is he's definitely one of them players that suits that profile in the terms of someone that can protect that young West Coast midfield. He's been there, he's done it. It's very interesting, this one, because he's that wonderful age of 26 years old, but he's played 130 games, can play across the forward line, can play across the midfield, high tackling, isn't scared of hitting the scoreboard as well against the Blues, averaging the 17 touches this year, playing 14 games, 131 in total. Another unrestricted, as we talked about, should just come across totally free. An incredible option for them. And I really like this deal because when we talk about how much players are going to cost, that's always one of them things here. So it's a free hit for them. Depends on who their coach is, though, is the talk. But I suspect Jack Graham will end there. It's a good pickup for them. It's one that, you know, makes a Laura sense. Up next, we've got Adam Tomlinson. This one here is a Collingwood link, and we love a little bit of Adam Tomlinson. It's very interesting. This key position player, unrestricted free agent, so again, will only cost what you pay him. So a nice, easy deal for them, particularly with Rich Collingwood only having 33, 48, 51 and being linked with just about everyone. 185 games played, 31 years old, played 8 games this year. His VFL form was pretty strong as well for the old Casey Demons as well. Really showcased some good moments there. If you do want to see a game, go and watch him against Richmond VFL early doors this year. He was really sensational, really strong there. So that's a good game there. This is a real no-brainer for me. Someone that you just go in, you get it done, you don't worry about it. It's a solid little acquisition and one that I'm very, very excited about what may curtail from this one. Always interesting, you know, when you look at these types of deals because anything can happen. Up next, we've got Finn McGuinness, 23 years old, can play midfield, can play forward. And this is a real fascinating one, this, for Finn McGuinness. He's contracted to 2025. Always one of them picks that you look at. And I always say 2025 players could be sold for next to nothing. And played the 45 games this year, 13 games. Playing merely in that forward half of the ground, just under half a goals a game. His VFL form hasn't been exactly lightning as well, but this is one of them ones that always worries me. And whenever Sydney are linked with a player, I always say this, just go, okay, looks can be deceiving here, because his form in the VFL was being okay towards the back end of the year. GWS would be a really good game to watch. Played midfield and forward, really did it. This is going to be one of them ones that I'm just intrigued to see who Sydney might lose and this guy brings in, because Sydney have a horrible habit of bringing him. Let's talk about value for him. Sydney currently have 18, 19 and 56. Going to be interesting what they bring in, because I think 56 may be low, 19 is too high, probably a picking around the 40s there. It's going to be a real fascinating one for what Hawthorn want from there. Could be something that you wait and see here. That suggests to me that a trade is imminent, but very strong player and a very, very good option for them. But Finn McGuinness, they've got a lot of depth there, Hawthorn, so that could lead to one of their targets. So always one worth looking. Up next, Western Bulldogs are linked with Xavier O'Hallahan. And Xavier is an incredible little footballer. Can play across the forward half. Got lightning speed. Not really becoming a regular in the midfield up until this year, where he's played the 19 games. Definitely showcasing that two-way running. Got a real good engine. And he's got a keen eye for goal. And this makes sense for the Doggies. They're losing Bailey Smith. And I could see this guy playing there. He's played a lot of time on the half-forward line. He's got that little something that GWS keep losing these types of players, and not all of them work out, but I do like Xavier. He's that right age profile as well, 24. He can really, really take the game on. He's got lightning pace, though. He's got that real je ne sais quoi. It's a good stopgap for them, in my opinion, to get him in there. When you look at Mr. Xavier, he's definitely seeking for pastures new. It's a tough team to get into. People forget that. And I don't mind the call of going to someone like Dogs. I think Dogs are one of them teams that I wouldn't mind. 2025, so he will have to be traded. I think 32 probably gets this done. Maybe even 44. It depends what GWS want for him. But I think 32 makes sense. They've got 34. Gives them some good options if they want to get up in the draft. I suspect a lot there. But Xavier O'Hallahan looks favourites to join. That he could be one that, you know, the teams that have missed out on Perryman, who we're going to talk about now, could be in the market for as well. Slightly different end of the ground, but if you are looking for some depth, this could be one. And Mr. Perryman, he came out today, and it's Collingwood or Port, evidently. Hawthorn have turned it down. This makes total sense for both sides, particularly if Port lose Dan Houston, but particularly Collingwood when they lose Mr. Noble, and he's a very good player. 129 games, he's played 21 games this year. Decent user of the football, takes the game on, pretty good defensively as well. Definitely one of them ones that you always look at in these types of scenarios, and it makes sense that Collingwood are linked with him because he's out of contract this year, and Port, not a lot of picks. This is a real fascinating one for me. I think the big thing about him as well is how clutch he can be in the moments of the game. So one to really look out for there, and one that should be a fairly straightforward deal. I think he'll go to Collingwood, though. I've just got a feeling. I think it makes sense. Collingwood are looking for that, and he really does suit what I think Collingwood are looking to build. Jacob Constanti up next, and I reckon there'll be a host of clubs looking for him, and I reckon Carlton might have a little sniff of him. They haven't really got someone that can pressure forward but also kick goals. Carlton are one of them teams at the moment where they've kind of hybrided everything and it doesn't quite work. We've got a lot of guys who are like masters of no trade but can do it all. He's a non-free agent, so he will require a trade. And with Sydney being linked to Finn McGuinness, I could see this being one of them late picks. I could see this being a future second, future third, Carlton chancing it. Sydney looking for next year with what they might be able to do just to accumulate points and whatnot, because they're a late team usually in the draft. It makes sense to me this deal gets done, and I'd love him, but so many teams will look at him. Do you know what I mean? North Melbourne would have a look at him. I think him working there. I could see Richmond having a sniff as well. I could see a host of teams, particularly Richmond with losing Bolton. this will be one of them deals that's like a mid to late second, early third. I feel Sydney are genuinely harsh at the trade table, but they ain't either easy, either, if you know what I mean. Another forward that is linked who can also play key back, Wade Dirksen, the ultimate swingman, 23 years old, no games, but had some real strong VFL form as Mr. Dirksen. And he is a contracted player, but he's requested a trade. And this is going to be one of them ones that's as cheap as chips. Melbourne have been linked with him. I reckon 45, 50 gets this done. This is going to be a real straightforward deal. Real accomplished little footballer. One to really look out for here, because I really like this trade. These are the trades that kind of make me salivate, because someone has made a mistake. And I think Wade Dirksen has shown the willingness to play in the ruck, play forward, but also down back. There's a lot there that he plays with some very, very good footballers as well. It has to be said. So one that I'm definitely going to be looking out for with some intrigue there, but it'll be a cheap as chips deal to get done. Cheap as chips deal to get done. So look out for that one. It's going to be a real fascinating one of what may materialise from that one. But I think that one is a no-brainer. We linked him to Melbourne at the start. It makes sense to me. Up next, Devon Robertson looks set to play elsewhere. Is this as straightforward as West Coast Eagles? We just don't know, do we? This is going to be one of them fascinating ones of what may occur. But Devon Robertson, he's just never quite going that pick 22. He's played 43 games, 2 games this year. Always kind of that sub option for them. Has been slotted across forward. This is a really intriguing one because he is a midfielder. And you look at him in the VFL this year, being played predominantly on the wing and then pinch hitting on the ball. He's really showcased his ability to find the ball. I think it makes sense for West Coast because I think he could be a baby Andrew Graff, someone that really starts there. He's also got a little bit going forward as well. It's going to be a real fascinating one what they do because Brisbane have a habit of losing these players. It is a trade. For me, they're not going to ask for big darts for him. It's not going to be one of them big deals. When you look at what Brisbane have got, 17.55.69, they're probably going to let him go for something that helps with points for Marshall and Ashcroft. Looking at West Coast, 59 doesn't have a shed load of points, but it does have enough points to, worry about, really, because 59 points is 158. It helps you find a Marshall bid. They may want a bit more than that, but they're not using him, and Brisbane genuinely don't overcharge on their players. So that's going to be a real fascinating one for me. Going to be one that, wait and see, let's see what happens. Could be exciting. Up next, Josh Rotham. Always fascinating is these little kind of trades, I think. But Josh Rotham has been linked with them. He's off contract, so it's not going to be one of them deals that, breaks the bank per se. And Essendon have been linked with him, which is really interesting. Unrestricted free agent, so he's just literally a contract away, which is always interesting. He's played a lot of games and he brings a bit of experience, which is integral. That 193 can play tall, can play third. They've lost Zirk Thatcher last year. He's played 13 games, 72 career, 26 years old. He loves that little intercept role. It kind of makes sense, I suppose. It's going to be a cheap as chips deal because I don't think he's going to ask for a lot of money. Decent defender, though, to be fair. And he's someone that just ups, in my opinion, just ups that type of competition there. So probably a good little signing. Like you say, when they're free, you don't really scoff at them. So it's going to be one of them ones that's just nice and free. Get it out of the way. Let's have a look at it. Up next, Caleb Daniel. Caleb Daniel is always a surprising one for me. 28 years old, was a halfback, now played forward. 192 games, played 16 games this year, which is just absolutely fascinating to me. But they are looking to get rid of him, which makes sense because in the recent years, Bevo has kind of lost the plot with these guys that have been a staple of their team for so long. Playing him forward just seems a little bit weird to me. But Caleb Daniel is contracted till 2026. North Melbourne are in for him, and this could be a fascinating one because this could be one of them deals here where West Coast do want to get into that first. They should get a first rounder from a guy we're going to talk about in a minute in Bailey Smith, but having another pick could be in there. And what's he worth? I think pick 40 probably is maybe on the borderline just unders for a guy who's 28 and he's got 2 years to go. But it is it's a late second, early third, isn't it, if you look at it? So that's probably, when you say it in them terms, it's probably sickening. This is a good deal, though. I think they need that type of player at North Melbourne. He's definitely that type of player. I think he'll slot in at halfback as well. A little bit of run and stun for them. So watch out for that one, because I really kind of like that deal. Against my better judgment, I'm actually quite a fan. So that could be a fascinating one, what we see. Up next, Elliot Himmelberg looks set, as we said, to join Gold Coast. Unrestricted free agent, just his payment, 26 years old, playing key forward. Fascinating one, these type of little deals, in my opinion, when you look at them. Because, what is he? It's hard to say. It's hard to say, isn't it? And if you look at his year this year, playing predominantly for their VFL team, he's played 4 games, 2 goals, nothing much to write home about. When you look at his senior numbers, they're not exactly amazing. 9 games this year, played 50 in total. But definitely that kind of player that's going to add a little bit of competition there, protect Ben King. I reckon he actually gets minutes, to be honest. I reckon he starts. It's a good little deal, actually. So Gold Coast doing a pretty good job there, in my opinion, of bringing players in. Up next, we've got Tom Clough, West Coast, intrigued in this gentleman. And I like this. I really do like this deal, Tom Clough. Tom Clough, he's 30 years old, 193. He's been there. He's done it. It's a sensible deal for a team that probably needs key position depth. And he's, again, another one of them players that when you look at it, it's a cheap as chips deal, isn't it? It's a cheap as chips deal. It's one of them ones that you look at and you go, okay, he's probably not playing there. 2025, West Coast. This is another deal that's going to be a cheap as chips deal. This is like pick 59, maybe even a future third. Take a punt on that, get rid of him. But 124 games, no games this year, can't get in. Makes sense for West Coast. It's depth. It allows them maybe to draft a young one a bit later, protect their players they've got. Very, very intriguing. And Jackson Pryor, being rumoured to be delisted at the end of the final by Brisbane. 23 years, 190 defender, plays that small type role, that awkward role, as we say. Decent user of the ball, good thinker as well. 39 games, the 4 games this year. Essendon have been linked to him. Few other clubs have been linked to him as well, but it looks like Essendon are the big players for here. When he's free, I mean, this could be one of them ones as well, where you see, like, you know, a future fourth is used. They don't delist him and they take him early. So this could be a real fascinating one. But again, obviously, Essendon trying to be quite active and proactive in here. And he's a player that's had half of his development done, which always helps out, I think, in the long run. So very exciting to see what may come of this type of player. Bailey Smith looks set to nominate Geelong in the next 24 hours. And it's a no-brainer, isn't it? Bailey Smith been out all year with the ACL, but he has played 103 games career. Pure class. Pure class. This goal kicking mid, we bill him as, but it is worth noting he's only kicked 0.4 goals career. But this is the type of player here who he's going to learn off Mr. Dangerfield in the last years of his career, and what a player to learn off because he's got very similar facets. Pick 15 is a starting point for this deal. The Dogs genuinely undervalue players as well, which is always worth noting, a good little caveat to that. So I think this should be a fairly no-brainer deal for me, and it'll get through. And this will be one of them ones that Geelong won't mess about. Geelong are very, very good at this. So that should be an exciting one. And we finish with Isaac Cumming being, quote-unquote, the first move of the year. Looks like the first cab off the rank will be Isaac Cumming in the delisted free agency period to Adelaide. Unrestricted free agent. We've talked a lot about him. 26 years old, 81 games, 6 games played. Good ball user, breaks lines, can play on the wing, can play at halfback. played the 81 games total, 6 games this year. Good tackler as well, good two-way runner. Exactly what Adelaide need. Adelaide are building quite a fearsome little list at the moment, and I really do like their wings. I think they've got some real solid ones, and he adds a little bit of width and depth to them. Solid recruitment by them. That is what we have on the 26th of the 9th, 2024. I love doing these, and I know these have been really well received, so hopefully we enjoy them. We're going to be going live every day in the trade period as well. We'll do recaps and we'll talk you through them ones. So can't wait to see you then. We'll have every day, though, we'll have something for you. So peace, love and light. Make sure you subscribe. Head on over to pommyandOz.com. Get your merch. Umpire shirts are selling like cakes. See you later. Peace.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella bad.